Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Oh, hello there. I'm Sir Topham Hatt, the Fat Controller. News has reached me here on the island of Sodor that many of Thomas's friends worldwide have chosen their favorite adventures from the Thomas and Friends television series and included them in a special fan-made video. After speaking to my colleagues on the mainland, I was pleased to confirm that this was the case. Zachary introduces the tale of Duck and the Slipcoaches, Rick chooses Toby and the Flood, and Tyler's favorite story is Thomas Comes to Breakfast. Later, Garrett describes how hilarious Paxton's search for Thomas's lost puff is. And Michael vividly remembers the time Peter Sam left the refreshment lady behind, an event I'm sure Peter Sam would really prefer to forget. And Matt, John, Daniel, Adam and Jordan all have a favorite too. I understand too that this video concludes with a splendid final, a song about Thomas and all his friends. All my engines enjoy a rousing tune, especially when they are working hard, and I'm sure you'll share their pleasure singing along. In fact, I can hear Thomas and Percy practicing now. Thomas joins me in sending his warmest wishes to all his friends worldwide. So sit back and enjoy these 10 magnificent stories from the Thomas and Friends television series, chosen by you, devoted Thomas fans all over the world.
Hello, my name is Adam, but you can call me Adamski. One of my favourite Thomas episodes goes way back to the Deputation. It's where Donald and Douglas are clearing up their work in the snow, but they're still worried that they'll be sent away regardless of the work they've done as well as the incidents they caused. The reason why it's one of my favourite episodes is due to the fact that not only does it bring a great conclusion to the Donald and Douglas trilogy in the Railway series, but it also fully develops their character to the point where they're fully determined regardless of what work they have to do. And one of the funny memories I had with the episode was that in a close-up in one of the scenes, it actually did frighten me. I'm not sure why, but you can see for yourself. And here's the episode either way.
Snow came early to the island of Sodor. It was heavier than usual. Most engines hate snow. Donald and Douglas were used to it. Coupled back to back, with a van between their tenders and a snowplow on their fronts, they set to work. They puffed backwards and forwards, patrolling the line. Generally, the snow slipped away easily, but sometimes they found deeper drifts. Presently, they came to a drift which was larger than most. They charged it, and were just backing for another try when... Lush sakes, Donald! It's Henry! Dinna fess yourself, Henry! Wait a while, we'll have you out. Henry was very grateful. He saw all was not well. The twins were glum. They told him that the Fat Controller was returning soon. He'll send us back for sure. It's a shame, said Percy. A lot of nonsense about a broken signal box, grumbled Gordon. That spiteful brake van too, put in James. Good riddance, that's what I say. They were splendid in the snow, added Henry. It isn't fair. They all agreed that something must be done, but none knew what. Percy decided to talk to Edward about it. What you need, said Edward, is a deputation. He explained what that was. Percy ran back quickly. Edward says we need a depositation. Of course, said Gordon. The question is, what is a desperation? Asked Henry. It's when engines tell the Fat Controller something's wrong, said Percy. Did you say tell the Fat Controller? Asked Duck thoughtfully. There was a long silence. I propose, said Gordon, that Percy be our, disputation. Hi, squeaked Percy. I can't. Rubbish, Percy, said Henry. It's easy. That's settled then, said Gordon. Poor Percy wished it wasn't. Hello, Percy. It's nice to be back. Percy jumped. Yes, sir. Please, sir. You look nervous, Percy. What's the matter? Please, sir, they've made me a desperation, sir. To speak to you, sir. I don't like it, sir. The Fat Controller pondered. Do you mean a deputation, Percy? Yes, sir, please, sir. It's Donald and Douglas, sir. They say, sir, that if you send them away, sir, they'll be turned into scrap, sir. That would be dreadful, sir. Please, sir, don't send them away. Thank you, Percy. That will do. Later, the Fat Controller spoke to the engines. I had a deputation. I understand your feelings, but I do not approve of interference. He paused impressively. Donald and Douglas, I hear that your work in the snow was good. You shall have a new coat of paint. The twins were surprised. Thank you, sir. But your names will be painted on you. We'll have no more mistakes. Thank you, sir. Does this mean that the both of us... The Fat Controller smiled. It means... But the rest of his speech was drowned in a delighted chorus of cheers and whistles. The twins were here to stay.
Hi everybody, I'm Tyler Patrick Adams, but my screen names are Tyler A, Tyler Vlogs, and Tyler YTP. You can call me whatever you want. And today I'm going to be talking about my favorite Thomas the Tank Engine episode. Now before I go into further detail as to what this episode is about and why it's my favorite episode, let me just say that I know I may have outgrown Thomas and I'm not as interested in it as I used to, but this certain episode in particular still holds a very special place deep down in my heart. And what is this episode's title? None other than Thomas Comes to Breakfast. Ah, such a classic episode. I will never forget this. Now, what this episode's about is Thomas trying to go on the rails without his driver being on board. And he ends up not being able to stop because his brakes are not on, and he ends up crashing into the station master's house. And then later, he gets into big trouble, and he gets scolded by Sir Topham Hatt. Now, the reason why this is my favorite episode is because, number one, George Carlin's narration. I just adored it. Now, I know that the Sodor Steamworks mentioned that if you choose
American episode that he'll put a British narration over it, but I still want to mention his narration. I just adored it as a child, and I certainly adore it now. It's just, it perfectly fits the mood of the episode, and that's what I mostly like about it. And the second reason why I like this episode is because it had such an enjoyable plot, and it really got me interested in it. And the third and final reason why I like this episode and why it's my favorite is because of how Thomas ran into the station master's house. I just found that very funny, and I certainly find it funny to this day. And, that's pretty much all I have to say about this particular Thomas the Tank Engine episode. And, that's officially all I have to say. Alright, roll the episode! Let's go.
Thomas the Tank Engine has worked his branch line for many years and knows it very well. You know just where to stop, Thomas, laughed his driver. You could almost manage it without me. Thomas had become conceited. He didn't realize his driver was joking. Later, he boasted to the others. Driver says I don't need him now. Don't be so daft, snorted Percy. I'd never go without my driver, said Toby earnestly. I'd be frightened. Huh, boasted Thomas. I'm not scared. You'd never dare. I would then. You'll see. The next morning, the firelighter came. Thomas drowsed comfortably as the warmth spread through his boiler. Percy and Toby were still asleep. Thomas suddenly remembered. Silly stick in the muds, he chuckled. I'll show them. Driver said I could manage without him. I'll just go out. Then I'll stop and wheesh. That'll make them jump. Thomas thought he was being clever. Really, he was only moving because a careless cleaner had meddled with his controls. He soon found his mistake. He tried to wheesh, but he couldn't. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. He just kept rolling along. He didn't dare look at what was coming next. There was the station master's house. The station master was about to have breakfast. Horrors! Cried Thomas, and shut his eyes. The house rocked. Broken glass tinkled. Plaster was everywhere. Thomas had collected a bush on his travels. He peered into the room through its leaves. He couldn't speak. The station master was furious. His wife picked up her plate. You miserable engine, she scolded. Just look what you've done to our breakfast. Now I shall have to cook some more. She banged the door. More plaster fell. This time it fell on Thomas. Thomas felt depressed. Workmen propped up the house with strong poles and laid rails through the garden. Meanwhile, Donald and Douglas arrived. Don't fash yourself, Thomas. We'll soon have you back on the rails, they laughed. Donald and Douglas, puffing hard, managed to haul Thomas back to safety. Bits of fencing, the bush, and a broken window frame festooned his front, which was badly twisted. The twins laughed and left him. Thomas was in disgrace. There was worse to come. You are a very naughty engine. I know, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Thomas's voice was muffled behind his bush. You must go to the works and have your front mended. It will be a long job. Yes, sir. Meanwhile, a diesel rail car will do your work. The diesel, sir? Thomas spluttered. Yes, Thomas. Diesels always stay in their sheds till they are wanted. Diesels never gallivant off to breakfast in station masters' houses.
Hi, I'm Jordan Gaming 101, and I'm going to tell you about my favorite episode. It's called The Diesel, and in it, the twin engines Bill and Ben are shunting some trucks in the yard, and they return to find them all gone. They find out that a diesel has taken them, or as what they call it, a diesel. So they decide to play a trick on him. Edward arrives and tells them that there's no cause to be rude and that this engine is a Metropolitan Vickers Diesel Electric Type 2. I like this episode because it features my favorite character, Boko.
Bill and Ben are tank engine twins. Each has 4 wheels, a tiny chimney and dome, and a small squat cab. Their trucks are filled with china clay. It is needed for pottery, paper, paint, and many other things. The twins are now kept busy pulling the trucks for engines on the main line and for ships in the harbor. One morning, they arranged some trucks and went away for more. They returned to find them all gone. The twins were most surprised. Their drivers examined a patch of oil. "That's a diesel," they said. "It's a wattle?" asked Bill. "A diesel, I think," replied Ben. "There's a notice about them in our shed. Coughs and sneezels spread diseases. You had a cough in your smoke box yesterday. It's your fault the diesel came." "It isn't, it is." "Stop arguing, you two," laughed their drivers. "Let's go and rescue our trucks." Bill and Ben were horrified. "But the diesel will magic us away like the trucks." "He won't magic us," replied their drivers. "We'll more likely magic him. Listen, he doesn't know you're twins. So we'll take away your names and numbers, and then this is what we'll do." Puffing hard, the twins set off on their journey to find the diesel. They were looking forward to playing tricks on him. creeping into the yard, they found the diesel on a siding with the missing trucks. Ben hid behind, but Bill went boldly alongside. The diesel looked up. "Do you mind?" "Yes," said Bill, "I do. I want my trucks, please." "These are mine," said the diesel. "Go away." Bill pretended to be frightened. "You're a big bully," he whimpered. "You'll be sorry." He ran back and hid behind the trucks on the other side. Ben now came forward. "Truck stealer!" hissed Ben. He ran away too. Bill took his place. This went on till the diesel's eyes nearly popped out. "Stop! You're making me giddy!" The two engines gazed at him. "Are there two of you?" "Yes, we're twins." "I might have known it." Just then, Edward bustled up. "Bill and Ben, why are you playing here?" "We're not playing," protested Bill. "We're rescuing our trucks," squeaked Ben. "Even you don't take our trucks without asking, but this diesel did." "There's no cause to be rude," said Edward severely. "This engine is a Metropolitan Vickers diesel electric Type 2. The twins were abashed. "We're sorry, Mr. Never mind," the diesel smiled. "Call me Boko. I'm sorry I didn't understand about the trucks." "That's all right then," said Edward. "Now off you go, Bill and Ben. Fetch Boko's trucks, then you can take this lot." "There's no real harm in them," he said to Boko, "but they're maddening at times." Boko chuckled. "Maddening," he said, "is the word."
Hi, I'm Dylan, and Escape is my favorite episode of Thomas and Friends. In Escape, Douglas is sent with the midnight goods train to the other railway, and he meets Oliver and his brake fan Toad. Douglas both rescues them, and they are sent to work on Duck's branch line. This is my favorite episode for a number of reasons. One, it introduces Oliver, and Oliver is my favorite character. Another reason, it shows how much an engine would go to another engine to save them, and just how. And I know it's not the same as the actual story, but it's such a good episode. It's very tense, and it builds up, and it's so cheerful at the end, and just everything about it I like. I have some fond memories of it as a child. I remember always renting the Percy's Ghostly Trick VHS from the library, and, I liked Oliver Owns Up. Yeah, it crashed. But Escape was always so interesting, just so interesting to see, and like, wow, I can't believe that could happen, and that is why Escape is my favorite episode of Thomas and Friends.
One day, Edward was talking to Trevor when Douglas steamed by. He was pulling a train of heavy coal trucks. "Come on, Edward. Stop gossiping in the sun when there's work to be done." Later, Edward spoke to Douglas. Trevor and I are old friends, and you and he have a lot in common too. Och, aye, quizzed Douglas. And what'd that be? Scrap, said Edward quietly. Douglas gasped. Don't mention that word. It makes my wheels wobble. It does the same to Trevor, replied Edward. He was being sent to the scrapyard, but the vicar and I saved him. And now he's really useful again. Even so, the Fat Controller certainly does need another steam engine here. Aye, and quickly, sighed Douglas. That night, Douglas was still working. He had taken the midnight goods train to a station at a faraway part of the island where only the diesels work. He was just shunting, ready for his return journey, when... That sounds like a steam engine, he thought. The hiss came again. Who's there? Asked Douglas. A whisper came. Are you a Fat Controller's engine? I improved it. Thank goodness. I'm Oliver, and I'm with my brake van Toad. We've run out of coal and have no more steam. But what are you doing? Escaping. From what? Scrap. Douglas shivered. Then he remembered Edward's story about saving Trevor. I'll be glad to help you, he said. It'll have to look as if you're ready for scrap, and I'm taking you away. The drivers and firemen agree to help too. Everyone work fast. No time to turn around, panted Douglas. I'll run tender first. Come on. But before they could clear the station, they were stopped. Aha! Exclaimed the foreman. A Great Western engine and a brake van too. You can't take these. Ah, but they're all for us, said Douglas's driver. See for yourself. The foreman looked all over Oliver. Seems in order. Right, away, guard. That was a neat thing, puffed Douglas. We've had worse, smiled Oliver, and they forged ahead. It was daylight when their journey ended. We're home, cried Douglas. Shh, said his driver. There are the works. We'll find a place for Oliver. Oliver said goodbye and thank you, and Douglas puffed away. The next day, Douglas told the other engines all about Oliver. The Fat Controller will have to know, said James. Douglas should tell him at once, added Gordon. Well, here he is, said a voice. Now, what's this all about? Beg pardon, sir, but we do need another engine. Yes, sir, ventured Gordon. A steam engine, sir. I'm afraid that unless one is saved from scrap, there's little hope. But, sir, burst out Douglas, one has. Yes, indeed, and thanks to you, Douglas, he is now at our works. Oliver is just what we need for Duck's branch line. Everyone cheered. Now Oliver and Toad are mended and painted in full Great Western colours. Duck and Oliver are happy on their branch line. The others laughed at first and called it the Little Western. Duck and Oliver were delighted, and so the Little Western it will always be.
Hello there, my name is Michael, and my favourite episode is Peter Sam and the Refreshment Lady. In this episode, Sir Handel has been shut up for several days. so Peter Sam has to do his work instead. Henry threatened to leave without his passengers, which caused Peter Sam to leave the refreshment lady behind. I love this episode because it's the most nostalgic episode for me, and I have many fond memories of watching it. I hope you enjoy it as well.
Sir Handel had been naughty, so the Fat Controller made him stay in the shed for a while. Peter Sam was now busier than ever. He had to do Sir Handel's work as well as his own. He was very excited, and the fireman found him hard to handle. Anyone would think that he wanted to work, said Sir Handel, who was lonely and bored. All respectable engines do, replied Skarloey. Keep calm, Peter Sam, and you'll do well. But Peter Sam was in such a state that he couldn't listen. He collected some coaches and went on his way. But somehow the faster he wanted to go, the slower the journey became. When Peter Sam finally fussed into the station, Henry was already there. "This won't do, youngster," said Henry. "I can't be kept waiting. If you are late tonight, I'll go off and leave your passengers behind." "Pah," said Peter Sam. Secretly, he was a little worried, but not for long. The guard blew his whistle and waved his green flag. Peter Sam puffed happily away, singing a little song. "I'm Peter Sam, I'm running this line. I'm Peter Sam, I'm running this line." What fun it all is, he thought, as he journeyed along the line. The coaches enjoyed themselves too. They were growing fond of Peter Sam. Every afternoon they had to wait an hour at the station by the lake. The station has a little shop selling refreshments. The driver, fireman and the guard buy tea and cakes from the refreshment lady. At last, the waiting was over, and Peter Sam was sizzling with impatience. "Beep! Hurry up, please!" he whistled to the passengers. How awful, he thought, if we miss Henry's train. The guard was ready with his flag and whistle. The refreshment lady was making her way to the train. Then it happened. The guard says that Peter Sam was too impatient. Peter Sam says he was sure he heard a whistle. Anyway, he started. "Stop, stop, stop!" wailed the coaches. "You've left the refreshment lady behind." "Bother!" groaned Peter Sam. "We're sure to miss Henry now." The refreshment lady climbed aboard and they started again. Peter Sam didn't sing anymore. Instead, he hurried along the line as fast as his wheels and his driver would let him. They arrived at the big station just in time. "Hooray!" said Peter Sam. He felt very relieved. "Not bad, youngster," said Henry loftily. But the refreshment lady was still cross. "What do you mean by leaving me behind?" "I'm sorry, refreshment lady," replied Peter Sam, "but Henry said he might leave without us." Then the refreshment lady laughed. "You silly engine, Henry was teasing you. He wouldn't have gone without our passengers. He's a guaranteed connection. Well, said Peter Sam, where's that Henry? But Henry had chortled away.
Hello there everybody, it's me, Rick, but you probably know me as Edward Toppin. And I'm going to choose the episode Toby and the Flood. In this episode, Toby is going to be inspecting a dam if there's any damage to it. But when the dam breaks, Toby is coming into an epic adventure. The reason I love this episode, it's my favorite episode, is because of the music. The models look great as always. The narration is amazing by Michael and Gallus. So, and actually, when I first saw the Harold the Helicopter song, which is one of my favorite songs of Tom's Friends, there was this clip with Toby on the bridge. And when I saw that, I was like, what episode is this? And then, when I found it, the first time I watched it, I had a feeling, and I knew from inside that this was going to be my favorite episode of all time.
It had been raining hard for weeks. Toby was feeling miserable. Everywhere was wet, wet, wet. His branch line runs through a village. The water in the river had risen with the rain. Only the great wall known as a dam was stopping the water from overflowing. Percy arrived just as Toby was about to inspect the dam for any damage. "Driver tells me it may be dangerous up there. Please be careful, Toby," said Percy. "I'll try," replied Toby bravely. Percy watched anxiously as Toby trundled away. His journey took him over a wooden bridge at the end of the village. The river surged dangerously beneath it. Harold Helicopter was inspecting the dam as Toby arrived. "Be brave, Toby," called his driver. "We have to cross to the other side." The dam did not look safe at all. Toby was very worried, and soon he knew why. "The dam's breaking up! We must warn everyone!" Toby shunted back as fast as his wheels would let him. Percy was waiting anxiously for Toby by the bridge. The river had risen so high that the bridge was in danger of collapsing. Toby arrived. "The dam's breaking up! We must find high ground!" shouted Toby's driver. "Your only chance is to cross the bridge," called Percy. "It doesn't look safe to me," wailed Toby. "It's our only chance," said his driver. "If the dam breaks, we'll be done for." Toby was halfway across the bridge when disaster struck. "Help!" called Toby. We'll follow him on our line. It meets the river further down. As Toby floated helplessly on the floodwaters, they passed a sign that made them shudder. Beware the waterfall. If we go over that waterfall, we're doomed. Then they saw Harold, who swooped low and shouted urgently to them. We're going to drop a rope to you. Attach it to yourself, quickly now. And they did, to one of Toby's buffers. Just then, Percy arrived. Harold flew over to him. Catch the rope and pull Toby to safety. Toby was safe at last. When the floods were over and the dam mended, the villagers had a big party for Toby, hosted by the Fat Controller. You were very brave, Toby. Thanks to Harold, sir, Toby replied. I could never have been so brave, Toby. Oh, I'm sure you would be, but you never know till you've tried. Percy rather hoped he'd never have to.
Hello there, my name is Matt, and my favourite Thomas episode is Rusty and the Boulder. Now, in this episode, Rusty discovers an old boulder near the mines on the island of Sodor. Rusty suspects that the boulder is watching him, but later on in the episode, the boulder falls off of the mountain and starts rolling along the tracks and starts chasing all of the engines. First Rusty, then Skarloey, then Rheneas. And then after Rheneas, it goes straight into the yard where Percy was working. And the rock crashes straight into the shed and causes the shed to explode right next to Percy. Now, the thing I like specifically about this episode is the tension and how much suspense goes through you when the boulder is chasing the engines, because you don't know if it's the first time of you watching it. It's crazy how the engines are surviving it as well. And also, I also remember vaguely through my childhood when the boulder rolls towards Percy and explodes when it hits the shed, because I always imitated myself being Percy, so I had to cover my face and eyes when the boulder approached him, like I was actually in the episode. So, yeah, let's get on with the show.
On the island of Sodor, high up in the mountains, was a mysterious boulder. It had stood alone for a long time, but one day workmen arrived to build a quarry on the land below. Rusty, the little diesel, met Thomas and Percy. "Where's all this rock coming from?" Percy asked. "The new quarry," replied Rusty.
This mountain rock is good for many things, although it's dangerous up there. Why? Asked Thomas. Because of a big boulder. I think it's watching me, said Rusty nervously. How can it be? Boulders don't have eyes. That's as may be, Percy. But there's something strange about this one. Just then, Edward arrived. He was delivering a new piece of machinery for the quarry. What's that? Asked Rusty. It's called Thumper. Apparently it helps collect the rock faster, replied Edward. Soon Thumper was working hard. The men were pleased, but no one bothered to check the boulder. When it rained, the workmen went away. Rusty gazed up and shivered. Above stood Boulder. Suddenly, a large slab of rock landed on the rails. Rusty was shocked. Driver was concerned. We'd best leave till the weather's better. The rain loosened some of this rock, he said. I think it's Boulder wanting us to go away, whispered Rusty. The next day the sun shone. The quarry was filled with more machines. Suddenly, Rusty noticed something. Boulder's moving. Don't be so daft. It can't, said Rusty's driver. But it could. It's rolling along our line. We'll stop here until Boulder passes by, said Rusty's driver. But Boulder was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, oh no, it's behind us! Just ahead they saw a small junction. One line went uphill. Boulder thundered past. Meanwhile, Skarloey was making his way up to the quarry. Then he saw Boulder. Yikes! Boulder was catching up to them fast, but they veered into a siding. We must warn the yards, shouted Skarloey. Yes, but how? Called Rusty. Boulder rounded a bend, and there ahead was Rheneas. It's running loose, yelled Rheneas. His driver drove him back as fast as he could. Yikes! Rather a smash than a squash, sighed his driver. At the yards, Percy was collecting trucks. Then he heard Boulder. Oh no, it's heading straight for me! When the Fat Controller inspected the damage, he decided to close the mine. Then he looked at Boulder. We should have left this part of the island alone, he said thoughtfully. They moved Boulder to a hill close by the yards. Rusty is sure that on a clear night it is gazing up at the mountain and that its sighs are being carried on the wind to where it once used to stand, proud and silent. I wonder if Rusty is right, don't you?
Hello everyone, this is Gareth Jones, Thomas and Friends fan since the late 90s. And for this DVD, I'm going to tell you my favourite Thomas and Friends episode, which is The Lost Puff from season 17. And it features one of my favourite characters, Paxton, the Green Diesel. who becomes very silly even though he was told not to, and try to make things right, which makes him get into even more embarrassing situations. And the reason why I love this episode is because it's possibly one of the most funniest that I ever seen. And first time I saw it, I was laughing so much. And I hope that you lot will laugh very loudly, as I do. Enjoy, folks.
The Lost Puff. Early one morning, the Fat Controller had a very important announcement to make.
Listen carefully now. A section of the track just beyond the water tower at Knapford Bend has buckled in the hot sun. You must take special care and mind your speed when passing through that area.
All the engines were listening very carefully. All the engines except Paxton, the diesel.
Pay attention, Paxton.
I can't help it. Look, there's a duck over there.
Thomas, Paxton, are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, sir.
May I remind you all, and you too in particular, not to be silly. Keep your mind on the job. We don't want any accidents.
I will take these trucks to the shunting yard and keep my mind on the job. No silliness. Soon, I'll be coming up to the damaged track the Fat Controller warned us about. I'd better slow down.
As Paxton rolled over the bumpy track, it rattled his radiator and clattered his connectors.
Oh, that was fun. Oh, that's brilliant.
The Fat Controller's words flew out of Paxton's cooling fans. All he could think of was being silly.
Now what's so funny, Paxton?
Listen to the sound I make when I go over the bumpy track. Oh, that's amazing. You try it, Thomas.
That was fun.
Go on, get a good run at it and go back really fast.
Good idea.
Thomas went ahead so he could get a good run up to the bumpy bit of track. Then there was trouble.
Oh, no!
Thomas had bumped right into Toby, who had been taking on water at the water tower. Luckily, nobody was hurt.
Oh, my.
Paxton didn't wait around to see what had happened. He was too upset.
The Fat Controller told me not to be silly, but I was silly. And now there's been an accident, just like he said.
Paxton was in the shunting yard picking up some trucks when Toby arrived.
Morning, Toby. How are you?
You'll never guess what happened.
Thomas backed into me at the water tower. He got soaked. I'm afraid poor Thomas has lost his puff.
Lost his puff? Oh, no, that sounds serious.
Paxton felt terrible.
Thomas, I'm so sorry. I made you be silly and lose your puff.
But...
Don't worry, I'll find it for you. Stay here. I'll be back just as soon as I can.
But, Paxton, what are you talking about?
Lost puff, lost puff. What does a lost puff even look like? Aha! There it is!
Paxton thought he'd found Thomas's lost puff. But it turned out to be Gordon, building up a good head of steam as he pulled the express. Paxton did feel silly.
That wasn't Thomas's puff. Maybe that's it. On top of the hill!
Paxton hurried off after Thomas's puff. He climbed all the way up to Ulfstead Castle. But no matter how high he went, Thomas's puff still seemed far away.
Hello, Paxton. What are you doing here?
Phew! Hi, Stephen. Thomas lost his puff, and I'm trying to find it. And, well, I thought that might be the lost puff. Up there.
Up there? Well, that's just a cloud.
Yes, of course. I knew that. A cloud. Okay. Got to go. Great to see you. Bye, Stephen.
Paxton felt very silly, chasing after a cloud. He sped away as fast as his wheels could carry him.
What do I know about steamies? I'm a diesel.
Suddenly, an idea snuck into Paxton's exhaust stack.
Victor! He knows all about fixing up steamies. He'll know what to do.
Paxton hurried to the steamworks.
Hello, my friend. What can I do for you today? We don't normally repair diesels here.
I know, Victor. I just wondered if you had any spare puff.
Spare puff?
It's for Thomas. We were being silly on the bumpy track, and he backed into Toby and lost his puff. But you repair steamies. You must know about puff.
Toby was laughing so hard, he thought his side plates might fall off. But Paxton didn't think it was very funny.
Thomas has lost his puff, Toby. It's no joke.
I'm sorry, Paxton. Puff just means steam. When Thomas backed into me at the water tower, his firebox got wet. That's all. A steamy can't puff when his fire's gone out.
Ah, I see. That's what you meant by Thomas lost his puff.
Yet again, Paxton felt silly. Until he realized something.
So, all Thomas has to do is wait till his firebox has dried out, and then he'll get his puff back?
Yes.
Great! Thanks, Toby! Oh.
Paxton looked for Thomas back at the water tower.
Thomas, you're okay now.
Yes, thank you, Paxton. See, I've found my puff.
Don't be silly, Thomas. All you had to do was wait for your firebox to dry out.
I know. I was only joking.
Oh, but the joke's on me, Thomas. At least I learned something today.
What did you learn? That puff just means steam?
Yes, but I also learned that when the Fat Controller says don't be silly, I shouldn't be so silly. Where's the duck? Oh, they can't catch it!
Hello, so I am Daniel, and I'll be telling you about my favorite episode. It's Disappearing Diesels from Season 18. Now, why is this my favorite episode? This was released before the release of Sail the Brave, meaning that the audience may not know who Reg is. And also, this marks the first appearance of Croc Scrapyard since the 3rd season. And also why it's my favorite episode is because of how it was made, how it was designed, and how good was it was doing because they have trouble on the tracks. So, I liked that episode, and goodbye.
Disappearing diesels. Some engines on the island of Sodor give diesels a bad reputation. But Paxton is one of the kindest diesels you could ever meet.
Good morning, Thomas.
Good morning, Paxton.
And because he is kind, Paxton has a lot of friends. Paxton is friends with the narrow gauge engines up at the Blue Mountain Quarry.
Hello there, Paxton.
Hello, Scarloey.
And with Salty and Porter at Brendam Docks. Even Cranky is friends with Paxton.
Look, Cranky, I've got your favourite again, Heavy Stone.
Oh, Paxton, you shouldn't have.
But the engine Paxton has to try the hardest to be friends with is Diesel himself.
Oh, Diesel! Hello! Hello?
Unfortunately, Diesel is not a very easy engine to be friends with.
Quick, Paxton is coming. Let's all hide, so he can't find us. It'll be very funny.
Okay. I like funny jokes.
Come on, Sydney. You need to hide too.
Hello? Oh, you'll never guess what happened down at the docks. Hello? Oh, there's nobody here. Diesels? Where can they be? Anybody here?
No.
Hello? What's going on? Something terrible must have happened. All the diesels have disappeared. I have to find them.
I think we've taken this joke a little too far.
Yeah.
What he means is, Paxton was really worried.
Don't be such fussy buffers. It was a joke, that's all. And jokes are really funny.
Paxton didn't think it was a joke at all.
Hello? Any diesels here? I'm a diesel.
But Paxton didn't hear Rusty because he was already hurrying away.
Have you seen any diesels, Thomas?
I can see you.
Not me. The other diesels. They've disappeared. Where's Salty? Is he missing too? Something is making all the diesels disappear.
Don't talk nonsense, Paxton. Salty went by 5 minutes ago.
Ha! Somebody mentioned my name.
Oh, Salty! Thank goodness you're still here.
Ah, you're burning fuel over nothing. The other diesels will turn up soon enough.
Oh, do you really think so, Salty?
Oh, no doubt about it, matey. Ha! Cool your pistons and fill your tank again.
After all the rushing around, Paxton's fuel was getting low.
I bet my buffers, at the end of the day, the diesels will be back at the diesel works, where they belong.
And here's Diesel himself.
Diesel? Where?
Shush, Cranky. Who asked you to put your hook in?
Diesel, wait! Come back!
Paxton doesn't give up easily. I'll give him that.
Diesel, wait!
They don't call me Devious Diesel for nothing.
Yes? Can I help you, Diesel? Is that Diesel over there, Reg?
No, it isn't.
But that did sound like Diesel. That's because it is Diesel, Paxton.
No, it's not. I'm a truckload of sausages.
Sausages? Diesel, wait! Come back! Oh, what do you want to go chasing after him for? He's my friend! Is he really?
Diesel was still having so much fun that he decided to go up to the quarry to hide. But no sooner had he pulled off the mains than he ran out of fuel.
No! My tank can't be empty.
Finally! Diesel, I've been worried. All the diesels have gone missing.
We weren't missing. We were hiding from you.
Oh, well, that's not a very good hiding place, Diesel. I can see you.
I know. I didn't expect to stop.
A better hiding place would be behind a shed, or some bushes, or even up at the quarry.
I know. I know. I didn't plan to hide here, but I ran out of fuel and...
Oh, well, why didn't you say so?
What are you doing?
I'm shunting you to the next station so you can get some more fuel.
Oh...
Diesel didn't know what to make of this. He hadn't been very kind to Paxton, but Paxton was being very kind to him. Diesel didn't know what to say. He didn't like to say thank you, so he didn't say it.
Why did you help me?
That's what friends are for.
Paxton was just happy to have found Diesel again. He was even happier when he got back to the diesel works and found the other diesels there.
Hello? I was looking for you.
Diesel came back to the sheds and backed into the berth beside Paxton. He still didn't manage to say thank you, but he did manage a friendly smile. And that was enough to make Paxton smile too.
Hello there, I'm Zachary. I'm going to tell you about my favorite Thomas and Friends episode. So my favorite Thomas and Friends episode has to be Duck and the Slip Coaches. It was an episode where Duck decides to introduce the Slip Coaches to Sodor, but then James decides to take over the Slip Coaches, but messes up, but then Duck takes over and he teaches everyone the Great Western way of doing things. The reason why I love this episode is because of the new rowing stock we get, which is the Slip Coaches, and Duck at least having another row again, him being my favorite character of Thomas and Friends of all time. So, also, any special memories I had this episode was me saying the Great Western way, like, all the time, you know. And, you know, so that's Duck and the Slip Coaches.
Duck and the Slip Coaches. It was high summer and the busiest time of year on the island of Sodor. Holidaymakers from the mainland flocked to the beaches and other attractions. The engines were busier than they'd ever been before.
Bust my buffers, what a day! I've never seen so many passengers.
I don't mind. All the more people to admire my shiny red paint.
At this time of year, the Fat Controller would often worry about getting everyone to their destinations on time.
All aboard! Come on, James. There's no time for dilly-dallying. Chop, chop. We can't have any delays. Oh, what's this? Oh, my. That's enough of that. Thank you, Thomas and James. Off you go.
Yes, sir.
Right, sir.
No.
That night, Duck stayed at Tidmouth Sheds so he could help with all the extra passengers in the morning.
Evening all.
Hello, Duck. Nice to see you.
Oh, no. Not that old fuddy-duddy.
Duck liked to talk about the old days when he worked on the Great Western Railway. James thought he was a bit annoying.
You know, days like today remind me of summers back on the Great Western Railway.
Oh, here we go.
We carried so many holiday makers, they used to call it the Sunshine Line.
In those days, I used to pull slip coaches. Coaches which could be uncoupled without even stopping. That way, we always ran on time and there were never any delays.
Wow, I've never heard of slip coaches before.
You had to be careful, though. Go too slow in the station and they'd bump into the back of you. It took a lot of skill and expert timing.
Sounds easy to me. Silly old Great Western stories.
There are two ways of doing things, James. The wrong way, or the Great Western way.
Tomorrow is going to be our busiest day ever on Sodor. I just don't know how we'll get everyone to their destinations on time.
When James heard what the Fat Controller said, it gave him an idea.
I know what would help deliver all the passengers on time, sir. They're called slip coaches.
Slip coaches? Go on, James.
And James told the Fat Controller all about the slip coaches and how they help avoid delays.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Those things are wonderful.
My old slip coaches! I don't believe it! Cooey! Hello!
Settle down, please, engines. Now, to avoid confusion and delay on this very busy day, I have brought some special slip coaches across from the mainland. But it wasn't my idea. It was James's.
What? That's right, sir. Thanks to me, there will be no delays on Sodor today.
Hooray for James!
Quite right, James. Off you go, all of you.
But I told James about the slip coaches. It was my idea.
But no one was left to listen to Duck. Feeling rather sad, he steamed away.
Oh.
Passengers, pay attention. Make sure you get into the right coach, the one that's stopping at your station.
All aboard! I'll get you there on time with my brand new slip coaches!
James was very pleased with himself. He liked it when people waved at him. He thought he was very clever for pulling the slip coaches.
Do you think James knows what he's doing?
I don't know.
I hope so.
James was approaching his first stop. Duck was sad that it wasn't him pulling the slip coaches.
Prepare to uncouple the rear coach!
Don't slow down too much in the station, James, or the last coach will bump into the back of you.
Yes, yes, thank you, Duck. I know what to do. Release the coach!
But James liked everyone to see his shiny red paint, so he slowed down.
Hello, everybody! Glad to be of service.
The last coach couldn't stop and bumped into the back of the other slip coaches. Luckily, nobody was hurt. But after that, the slip coaches refused to move.
We won't go with James.
He doesn't know how to use slip coaches.
No, not at all.
That was when the Fat Controller arrived and found the passengers all complaining and saying what a bad railway it was.
Oh, James, what have you done? These slip coaches were a terrible idea.
But, sir, they just take a bit of getting used to, that's all.
Maybe I could help, sir.
The slip coaches were overjoyed to see their old friend Duck.
Hello,
Hello,
Duck. Hello, Slippies.
Do you mean to say you know these slip coaches, Duck?
Of course. I used to pull them on the Great Western Railway, as I was telling James last night.
Suddenly, the Fat Controller understood. James had only pretended to know about slip coaches. Really, it was all Duck's idea.
Duck, perhaps you would like to pull the slip coaches around Sodor. If that's all right with them, of course.
Yay, Duck!
Of course it is.
Capital idea.
So Duck took over pulling the slip coaches. And even though it was the busiest day Sodor had ever seen, thanks to Duck and the slip coaches, everyone reached their destinations on time. And all the passengers agreed it was a very good railway indeed.
Evening all.
3 cheers for Duck and the slip coaches. Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray!
It just goes to show there really are only 2 ways of doing things. The wrong way or